Just going through the rest of this sheet, algebraic techniques, factorizing. Okay. All right. Notice they're both all plus, so it's going to be x plus, x plus. Two numbers that multiply to give 12, but add up to give 8. Well, it's not going to be 4 and 3 because they give 7. It's going to be 6 and 2. The next one is also plus and plus. Two numbers that multiply to give 36, but add up to give 13. Yeah, it is 9 and 4. X plus 9, x plus 4. Now, this is the same as doing x plus 4, x plus 9. So with the 6 times, you could have gone 6 times 6, but there's no way that 6 times, like 6 and 6 gives you 13. You could have done 18 times 2, but you add them, you get 20, or subtract, you get 16. There's 9 fours, 9 plus 4 is 13, so that looked like the right one to do. In the next one, ladies, we need two numbers that multiply to give positive 12, but add up to give a negative number. They're both going to have to be negative. Both the numbers have to be negative because two negatives multiply to give a positive. So what two numbers multiply to give 12? It's 3 and 4 or 6 and 2. We're going to go 3 and 4 because negative 3 times negative 4 is 12, but negative 3 plus negative 4 is 7. So x minus 3, x minus 4. The next one as well, girls, our constant on the end is positive. So it's either you have to multiply two positives or two negatives. If you look at the middle term, the coefficient of the x is a negative. So it is going to be two negatives that multiply to give the positive 24. Now, think of your times tables. What gives you 24? We've got 6 4s, but they don't give you 10 they can't give you 11. What else? 12 and 2 can only give you 14 or 10. It's not 12 and 2? Yep. Minus 8 plus minus 3. So it's x minus 8, x minus 3. So remember, before you start putting pen to paper, you can do all your combinations of 24, which are 12 and 2, 6 and 4, but neither of those is going to give you minus 11 when you add them. So that's not going to, so we need minus 8 and minus 3 because we've got x squared minus 3x minus 8x plus 24. The next one. Girls, negative 32. I need a positive and a negative. X plus, x minus. Because two numbers that multiply to give 32. Start thinking, but add up to give 14. So what have we got? 8 and 4. But that can't give me 14. Think again. All right, see how you've got 8 and 4? That's a great start. Double one of them and halve the other. Double the 8 and what do you get? Halve the 4 and you get 2. 16 and 2. Now, if one of those is negative, 16 and 2 can give me 14, positive 14, but how? Which one? My final answer has to be positive, so which one? Yeah, it's plus 16 minus 2. Plus 16 minus 2. Do you see why we don't bother working with the 8 and the 4? Because it's never going to give us 14. Whether you add 8 and 4 or subtract 8 and 4, doesn't matter which way, it'll never give you 14. All right. Girls, two numbers that multiply to give negative 12. One of them's going to have to be positive, one's going to have to be negative. 4 and 3 is good because they can combine. If you add them, they give you 7, but if you subtract, you get 1. Do I want more pluses or more minuses? I want plus x. So I need plus 4, 3 minuses. Does that make sense? Because plus 4 minus 3 is plus 1. I don't want minus 1. So when you multiply 4 and negative 3, you get negative 12. But when you add them, plus 4 minus 3, adding, so you're doing 4 pluses and 3 minuses gives you plus 1. So plus 4 minus 3. The next one, numbers that multiply to give 72. 9 and 8 are good. Like, most people will think of 12 and 6, but they can only combine to give you what? 6 or 18. If you add them, you get 18. If you subtract them, you get 6. There's no 1 in there anyway. So 9 and 8 are good because they're only 1 apart. Do I want minus 9 plus 8 or plus 9 minus 8? Girls, I need minus 1. I need them to add up to minus 1. I need more minuses than pluses. Do you see that? Girls, I need, when I add those two up, I have to get negative 1. Negative 9 plus 8. So x minus 9, x plus 8. And the last one, I need two numbers that are going to multiply to give negative 48. Well, 6 and 8 can only give me 14 or 2. That's out. It can't give me 8. 24 and 2 can only give me 26. 12 and 4 is good. 12 and 4 is good because when you subtract them, so what are you going to do? One of them's got to be negative. Good. Minus 12 plus 4. Plus 4 minus 12, same thing. Minus 12 plus 4. Multiply negative 12 and positive 4, you get negative 48. Add negative 12. Negative 12 and positive 4 gives you negative 8. Okay, the next thing that we're going to be doing is factorising monic. They're still monic, even though you can see a 3 out the front here. We're factorising monic quadratic expressions with a common factor. I'll show you why it's going to be monic. 3, 24 and 36, they're all divisible by 3. So we take out 3 as a common factor. Taking out 3 as a quadratic, at the moment it's not monic because the number in front of the x squared is not 1, but it will be monic in a minute once we factorise it. So take out 3. So if this year you're only going to be asked to factorise monic quadratics, next year you might have a 3 in the front, but it won't be a common factor, and we use a different method for factorising those. We do them in year 10. Okay, so at the moment in year 9, you're only going to be asked to factorise monic. So if you have a 3 or a 4 or any other number in front, you're going to be able to take it out as a common factor. So 3, what do I write here? If I take out 3 is x squared plus, if 3's been taken out of there, what have I got? Plus 8x plus 12. Are we okay with that? So that's the same as 3. Look, 3x squared plus 24x, I'm checking my factorisation, plus 36. That works. Now we keep the 3 there, don't go and lose it. Tell me if you think I've got plus, plus, minus, minus, plus, minus, minus, plus. How do we know it's plus, plus? They're all pluses, so that's the easiest type. I need two numbers that multiply to give 12, but add up to give 8. Yeah, 6 and 2. It's not going to be 4 and 3. They can only give me 7. 6 and 2. Do you think you can pull out as a common factor? 2 bracket x squared. Come on, help me. Minus 10x plus 16. Okay, girls. 2 stays there. The 2 brackets. Okay, I need two numbers that multiply to give a positive, but add up to give a negative. I have a feeling I've made a mistake. Oh no, all good. Are they both going to be positive or both going to be negative? Because a positive times a positive gives me 16, but a negative times a negative. So, yeah, minus 8, minus 2. Because minus 8, shh. All right, next one. What can you take out as a common factor? 5 bracket x squared plus 8x minus 20. So see how much easier it is to factorise. So girls, I need two numbers that multiply to give negative 20, but add up to give 8. Yeah, we've definitely got 10 and 2 because they can combine to give 8. Do we need more? Do we want a minus or a plus in the middle? Plus, so I need more pluses, less minuses. Are we good with that? Plus 10 minus 2 gives me plus 8. Don't look over here anymore with the 40x and the 100. And the last one, 5 is common with all those. So if you've got a quadratic trinomial, quadratic means highest power of x is x squared. Trinomial, 3 numbers. One of them's an x squared, one of them's an x, and the other one's a constant. If it's not monics, you should find that you've got a common factor. So 5 bracket x squared minus 6x minus, thank you. Right. Okay, girls, 2 numbers that multiply to give negative 27, but add up to give negative 6. Well, the only thing I can think of is 9 threes. Which one do I want? I need a sum of negative 6. Minus 9 plus 3. X minus 9, x plus 3. Okay, girls, you do the other column. And I'll give you a few minutes. Are we good? Do the other column. First one, 3 is a common factor, x squared plus 6x plus 9. 2 numbers that multiply to give 9 but add up to give plus 6 is plus 3 and plus 3. Now, so we've got x plus 3, x plus 3. Does anyone know how I can write this another way? Yeah, x plus 3 squared. We do those next year. No, that's it. You can't simplify that. You can leave it like that. Next year you'll do it the other way. 3 is a common factor. 3 bracket x squared minus 9x plus 8. 2 numbers that multiply to give positive 8 but add up to give a negative. They've both got to be negative. We've either got 4 times 2 or 8 times 1. 4 and 2 will only give me 6, so it's got to be 8 and 1. So we've got 3 bracket x minus 8, x minus 1. Because negative 8 plus negative 1 is negative 9. The next one, 4 is the common factor with 4, 24 and 64. We've got 4 bracket x squared plus 6x minus 16. So 2 numbers that multiply to give negative 16 but add up to give positive 6. It's got to be 8 and 2. So 8 and 2, do we want more pluses or minuses? I want plus 6 to be my sum, plus 8 minus 2. And the last one, 3 bracket x squared minus 6x minus 40. I need 2 numbers that multiply to give negative 40, but add up to give negative 6. It's got to be 10 and 4, because they can, if you subtract them, you'll get 6. But what you do, you just look at the 10 and 4 and you say, yes, I can make 6. Don't worry about it being negative 6 yet. Just know that you can make a 6. Now you decide how you're going to get the negative 6. What are we going to do? You need minus 6. More minuses than pluses. Negative 10 plus 4. Okay, to do these, I mean, you can pretend you're expanding x squared plus 3x minus 8x minus 24, or the quickest way is negative 8 plus 3 is what? What's negative 8 plus 3? That's going to be this one. The middle term. Or you can expand x squared plus 3x minus 8x minus 24. Look, you can, but you shouldn't need to. Girls, what's negative 6 times negative 4? If you've just been factorizing, you know how I want 2 numbers that add up, for example, to give negative 24? I'd rather you factorize than expand. What are 2 numbers that multiply to give negative 24? Or do the plus ones first. 2 numbers that I'm doing C. 2 numbers that multiply to give 24 but add up to give 10. What is it? I'm doing C. Is it going to be plus plus or minus minus? Which one do you think it is? Girls, it's plus plus. See how you've got x minus 6, x minus 4? If you do negative 6 times negative 4, you get positive 24. So that's got to be one of the positive ones. And if you do negative 6 and negative 4, that's negative 10. Do you know which one it's going to be?
Minus 10 plus 22.
Which one?
D.
All right, you can't really see because... Anyway, girls, you can work them out on your own. Do every combination of multiplying. The constant term comes from multiplying, for example, the plus 6 with the plus 4, when you're doing those two last ones. When you multiply the 6 and the 4, what do you get positive 24. So this particular one needs a positive 24 on the end. And when you add plus 6 and plus 4, you get plus 10. Girls, you've got to think about how we were just factorizing. You know, we were looking for two numbers that multiply to give a certain number and add up to give a different number. Are we done yet or not?
Yes.
All right, let's match. The first one is what?
E.
Is E. And the second one's done, third. And the last one is?
A. D, sorry.
It's D. Okay. So, everyone's going to get something different, girls, but we've got a plus. What two numbers multiply to give 18?
9 and 2.
So it can be x plus 9, x plus 2. That would give me, what would that give me for the question mark? If I did that, the question mark would be 11. So with that one, I'd get x squared plus 11x plus 18. Do you get what I'm doing? So I just need, I'm going to get 3 different answers for the question mark. Give me another example.
9 and 6 and 3.
Yes, 6 and 3. X plus 3, x plus 6. That will give me 18, but what will that give me for the question mark? See, here I'm going 6 times 3 is 18. 6 plus 3 is? So that one would be x squared plus 9x plus 18. Think of another one. 9 times 2 is 18. 6 times 3 is 18. 18 times 1 is 18. Yeah, that's the trick one.
What's the first thing is that a 1?
That is a question mark.
No.
Oh, that's a nothing. That's just a that equals that.
Oh, wouldn't it be?
The last one could be x plus 18, x plus 1. Yeah, you'll get 19. So what you do over here, you've got 18. We know 6 times 3 is 18. 18, 9 times 2 is 18. That's what I'd do. 18, 18 times 1. And then you can write them all out. Does that make sense? All right, I can't. Sorry, I shouldn't have written it like that. All right, girl. Question. You might want to set it out like this at the top before you start rather than the way I've done it. The different numbers that multiply to give 18, we know we've got plus plus, okay? So 6 times 3, both positive. 9 times 2, both positive. 18 times 1, both positive. Remember, the middle term is when you add them. So the middle term could be 9. 9 plus 2 is 11. Or 18 plus 1 is 19. Now, with the second one, girls, I'm not looking for two numbers that multiply to give something. I've already got the answer. Two numbers have to add up. So girls, do they both have to be the same sign? Because I got a plus on the end. Minus 6 and minus 2 do add up to give negative 8, but what do they multiply to give? Positive 12. So the first thing, the first question mark could be positive 12. I need another two numbers that add up to give negative 8. They've both got to be the same sign. Give me any two numbers that add up to 8. Negative 8. Negative 4 and negative 4. Yep. Or, yeah, negative 4 and negative 4. What would this be up here if you multiplied them? Positive 16. Keep going. Give me every combination, actually. I want 4.
7 and 1.
Negative 7 and negative 1 add up to give negative 8, but multiply to give. And there's one more combination. I've got 6 and 2, 4 and 4, 7 and 1, -5 and -3 add up to give -8, but multiplied to give +15. So these factorizations could have been the following. X squared minus 8x plus 12. I'm just showing you. Do you get it? So the question mark could have been any of those four things. I could have had x squared minus 8x plus 16. I could have had x squared minus 8x plus 7. And I could have had x squared minus 8x plus 15. Do you see? That middle term of minus 8x could have come from 4 different places. Plus 12, I mean, I can get that plus 12 in 6 different ways. I could have done plus 6 times plus 2. 6 times 2 is 12. Or negative 6 times negative 2 is 12. What else could I have done?
-4, -3.
I could have done -4, -3, or
4 and 3.
+4, +3. Now, I could have done 12 and 1 and -1 and -12. But let's say I did do the first one. What's the question mark going to be?
8.
What sort of 8?
+8.
All right, so I'm just going to do those 4. For the first one, the question mark would have been +8. Does that make sense? For that first one. Do you get what I'm saying? For the second one, the question mark would have been -8. So that's the first one, that's the second one. For the third one, the question mark would have been? And for the fourth one, the question mark would have been? Do you get the idea, girls? But, girls, I need the sum to be +4. Can you see that? The sum has to be +4. Give me any 2 numbers that add up to 4. 2 and 2, what else? +3, +1, +2, +2. All right, I want something a bit different now.
6, -2.
+6, -2. What else?
-4 plus 8.
+8 minus 4. These are 4 sets of numbers that add up to give me +4. If I did have +3, +1, tell me what the constant would be on the end.
3.
+3 would be my constant. What about this one?
+4.
See, because they add up to give +4, but they multiply to give, what about this one?
-12.
+6 times -2 is -12. +8 minus 4. Yes, -32. So girls, this one has got an endless number, probably an infinite number of answers. I can do any 2 numbers that add up to give 4. +7 minus 3, +5 minus 1. Heaps. +10 minus 6, +11 minus 7. I could go on forever. That one's got an endless number of solutions. Okay, last page. And we're looking for patterns. Now, girls, remember, all this is saying here is that we need 2 numbers that multiply to give the last number, 2 numbers that add up to give the 9. Some of these cannot be factorized. Every quadratic trinomial doesn't have to be able to be factorized with whole numbers. We will learn next year different methods using surds, okay? But you'll learn about that then. Can you think of 2 numbers that multiply to give +14 and add up to give +9? So this will work. So that works, +7 + 2. Girls, we're going to try the next one. Oh, let's go this number 3. Can you think of 2 numbers that multiply to give -20 but add up to give +8?
+10 minus 2.
All right. Multiply to give 20. Well, it's got to be 10 and 2 because that can somehow give me 8. Which one's positive, which one's negative? +10 minus 2. So that's x + 10, x minus 2. What about the next one? Does that one work? Girls, 10 and 2 is 8. Which way? I need the sum to be negative 8. So 10 minuses, 2 pluses. Question 7. Just think, what two numbers multiply to give 15? It's 15 and 1 or 5 and 3. It does not matter whether you add or subtract 15 and 1. You'll never get 6. Don't worry about negative 6. You'll never even get a 6. No matter how you combine 5 and 3, you can only get which two numbers if you combine them? 8 or 2. 6 is out of the question. This cannot be factorized. Not with the methods that we've got. What I want you to do first, you know how we were doing the other ones that had a 3 out the front or a 2x squared? I want you to pull a negative out the front of everything. And girls, we like to see the x squared term first, then the x, then the number. So if I pull out a negative, what do I write here for x squared? Positive or negative x squared? Girls? Yeah. What do I write in front of the 6x? A plus or a minus? Let's just see what I'm doing. Negative x squared minus plus is a minus. What about the 16? Okay, good. Girls, this is one way of doing it. I'll show you the other. This is probably the easiest way of doing it. Because when you factorize these with negative x squared, your aim is this year, I only want to do positive x squared types. That's okay. Reverse the sign of everything. Pull the negative out. And if that's plus 16, it'll be minus in the bracket. If that's minus 6x here, it'll be plus 6x in the bracket. If that's minus x squared out there, it'll be positive x squared in the bracket. Always double check. And then it becomes easy. Girls, two numbers that multiply to give negative 16, but add up to give positive 6. It's got to be 8 and 2 somehow. Multiply to give negative 16, but add up to give positive 6. One of them's negative. Yeah, plus 8 minus 2. X plus 8, x minus 2. With a negative out the front. Got it? I'm not going to show you the other way. Because I don't want to factorize negative x squared. It's too hard. Every question we've been doing, the x squared has to be a 1, a positive 1. So how can you factorize out negative 1? Keep going. Try these. Hurry up. So girls, two numbers that multiply to give positive 40. They've got to be both negative because of this negative here. 10 and 4 won't work. 20 and 2 won't give you 13. But 8 and 5 do. Negative 8 and negative 5 makes negative 13. Y minus 8, y minus 5. What have I done wrong over here? Tell me what I've done. What have I done wrong? I put x instead of k, 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 k. Got it? All right, next one. Can't give you 2. And 3 and 3. Can't give you 2. Cannot be factorized. Keep going. 80. Girls, with the 81, do you want 2 positives or 2 negatives? Well, it's got to multiply to give a positive, but add up to give a negative. 2 negatives. Girls, two numbers that multiply to give 80 is 20 and 4, but they both need to be negative. Negative 20 and negative 4 gives negative 24. M minus 20, M minus 4. All right. What are the two numbers, girls? 11 and 10. 11 times 10. Which one? More minuses or pluses? Plus 11. So it's n plus 11, n minus 10. we need to do these hard ones down here. What do? Girls, what's a common factor? Y bracket, y squared, plus what, girls? 5y minus 36. Now that we've done that, two numbers that multiply to give negative 36 but add up to give positive 5.
5 and 6.
9 and 4 definitely, but which one's positive? Plus 9. This first one, what do you wish that was? And you wish this was? Alright, that's okay. Two numbers that multiply to give 20 but add up to give 9. Alright, wait. X. Girls. Yes, girls. 5 and 4 is going to give 20, but x squared and x squared. Let's have a look. What's x squared times x squared? 5 times x squared is 5x squared plus 4x squared plus 20. But